What's going on, everybody? This is ODC, that's me, and I'm back with another action figure review. This is my review of the Marvel Select Cable figure. It's a pretty decent figure. I would say the highlight of this figure is probably the sculpt and paint. With most Marvel Select figures, that's usually the case. But this is a really nice figure. Just the amount of detail that they have on just on this shoulder piece right here. I guess his shoulder pads, if you want to call them that, is kind of like football pads, if you want to say that. It is just enough for the figure, and then you have some nice paint shading going throughout the legs and on the two different boots, which he usually has two different style boots. I would say there's a couple gripes I have with this figure, but overall, I think he's a pretty decently done figure. Yeah. So, like I said, there's a couple gripes, and no action figure is perfect, and it's completely understandable that a lot of people have gripes with this action figure for particular reasons, and I can see where they're coming from, but I think overall what you're getting for and what you're paying for, you're getting what you're paying for is what I'm trying to say. I'm saying it in so many words, but I think it overall looks good. Let me just pause this real quick and I'll be right back. I want to grab the packaging. I left it, I must have left it in the other room, but yeah, I will pause this and I'll be right back with the packaging. Okay, and I'm back. Yeah, I also wanted to put a band-aid on my finger because I didn't want you guys to see my my zombie dead finger that got injured. But I also have the packaging here. It's just your basic Marvel Select packaging. Says Cable on the side. Let me just raise up my tripod here. There we go. It just says Cable on the side here. On the profile, you have the picture of Cable, pretty well done. And on the back, you have a picture of Cable. Let me just toss this up really quick. Nice picture of Cable and how he looks. It's pretty accurate to how the sculpt is and packaging as well. And then you have his little read up right here, and you can pause it and read it if you so choose. There we go. I'll do it in sections. There you go. There's a dog barking in the background. I always love that. There you go. And I'll just scroll down here. And there you go. So you can pause it and read it if you want. There you are. Yeah, I think he's a pretty decently done figure, like I've said probably a dozen times already, because I repeat myself all the time. He comes with a lot of nice accessories. That's really where he excels, I would say, the most. He comes with his knife right here. This is the first one that I will touch on. It does have some nice paint shading going throughout. Kind of makes the knife makes the knife look like it's worn. There we are. So it looks pretty cool. And then the next one, which I'll do, is the gun in the holster. There you go. And you can remove the gun from the holster, which is a nice touch. Call it a blaster. How's that? I'll call it a blaster since he's Cable's from the future. There's the gripe I have with this though is that there's not a place to put it. Now in packaging he comes with the holster, the gun in the holster, and another holster, which I guess you could just put it in, plop it in there or the other holster if you want to, but it just looks a little weird to me. I would think that if they would have just a cost-effective way to just kind of put this somewhere would have been put it in a peg and just have it on the leg, have it on the ankle or the other ankle. It doesn't matter if you want to have it on this ankle or if you want to have it on the back or over here. I'm not sure why you would want to have a handgun all the way up there, but maybe on the belt somewhere over here. this doesn't really make much sense to me to put this gun back in that holster like that. It just doesn't look like it's meant for that. So that's my gripe with this gun. Doesn't make too much sense. As you can see though, I'll take the knife first. The knife does fit in his hand. It's a little bit loose in this hand. As you can see, it kind of wants to fall out. But in this hand, I believe it might be a little bit better of a fit. Yeah, it's a much better fit in this hand. So if you want to have the knife in that hand, it's probably the one to go for. The knife does have a sheath right on the back and just plugs right in. Boom. Doesn't fall out. Nice fitment. You can put the smaller gun in this hand. You kind of have to just line up that, and there you go. It could fit in either hand, really. So there you go with that. Some nice paint shading and detail going on with the holster as well. There you go with that. Next guns, we have two other larger blaster pistols. They are supposed to go in his holsters right here. But these pistols are so huge, that's why they had to make the holsters so large. So, I mean, that's another gripe of mine, is these holsters just look absolutely absurd. I don't know if that's a very effective way to be in combat. Have these huge holsters hanging out, sticking out of the side of your legs. But, I mean, you have to put the blasters somewhere, so I get it. I get what they're doing there. I understand why. It just looks a little weird. That's another gripe I have, I think. The next blaster is this looks like a futuristic machine gun, or some sort of like I don't know, futuristic Tech 9 or something. But it does fit in his hand. The problem is there's no trigger on this gun. Now that causes a problem because this gun wants to just flop right out of his hand. There's no trigger on the gun. I guess you could fit in that hand, but it wants to move around a lot. It would have been a lot easier if you just would have put a larger trigger right there to maybe go over the finger at least, so it would have stayed in properly. I'll show you. I'll zoom in here. Or just have a trigger guard right there, just so he could pop his finger in, and at least it would stop it from wiggling. It's not too bad, but another question I have is, I don't know, I don't think I've ever seen him have a gun like this in the comic. I'm sure there's similar guns that he's had, but I don't remember him having a gun with these prongs sticking out. This like 3-prong gun that just, I mean, you can stand it up. And there's this peg right here. I'm not sure what the heck this is for, if it's supposed to be for this gun, but it doesn't fit. So it doesn't fit that way. It certainly won't fit that way. That looks just ridiculous. That doesn't... It looks like it could go this way, but it still looks silly, and it doesn't stay. So I'm not really sure what the point of this is. This and these are... maybe it's just the design of the gun, but I'm not sure where the hell you put this thing. I guess he's just supposed to hold it. So there's that. Both the blaster pistols do fit in his hands, like so. Like so. There you go. Obviously, every gun in this hand is going to be a little bit looser. He's got his hands a little bit more open. And there's finally his big hand cannon, which he usually is drawn with in the comics. He usually has this big cannon, holding it, you know, double fisting, if you want to call it that. But he can't. The other problem is he can't really hold this. You kind of have to stick it underneath his arm and have him hold it like he's kind of in a relaxed position, kind of like so, like that. With this hand's a little bit tighter, so I mean, I guess you could have him like that, kind of like he's holding it up, or maybe like that. That's probably a little bit better. But yeah, it's just a strange thing, and there's also something rattling around in mine. I don't know what the hell that's about. That's just weird, but it's cool that he comes with so many accessories. It just would be a little bit nicer if they would all fit somewhere on him. So, but as far as his detail, like I said, the highlight of him is really his paint and detail. And pretty much from here, from the waist swivel up, it's pretty lacking in articulation. And I'm not expecting a Marvel Legends amount of articulation, but I was expecting at least a bicep swivel, and that's the problem, which we'll get into right now. As far as his articulation goes, his head does move side to side about that much. It's pretty limited because of this shoulder pads here. It can do the tilt effect, so that's nice. He can't really look up. That's about as far up as he looks. He looks down about that far, and that's about it. He can't do a full 360. His arms go up about this far, and they do go down. There's no bicep swivel. That is a big problem with this. And the other problem is his shoulders are too sunken in. They need to be sticking out about around here so he can get a better range of motion with his arms. But I digress. He's got an elbow swivel, or an elbow bend, excuse me. A little bit under 90 degrees. He does have a swivel at the wrist, that's about it. Swivel at the waist. He does have T-joint hips, kind of similar to the DC Universe Classics. Now, with here, what you want to do is you kind of want to push in on this, kind of keep your finger there to brace, and you're not putting too much pressure, because if you just do this, eventually you're going to put a lot of stress on this joint right here, and it's going to snap the leg off over time. So what you want to do is, just to help your figure out, kind of want to put your finger right there, and then you kind of want to pull out like that, like so. Or you can use your other hand, like so. Just so you're not putting so much downward pressure. See how that joint's moving right there? When I do that, eventually that's going to snap off if you don't keep your finger there to help out the joint. So there's that. He can do the splits nicely. He does go forward. He does go back nice. He does have a thigh swivel, upper thigh swivel, double jointed knees, which is really cool. Ankle hinge, goes forward and back. And he does have an ankle pivot, but it kind of doesn't really accomplish what you need it to accomplish. It's not your typical Marvel Legends ankle pivot. So he really would... I have seen reviews where his arms really don't go down at all past like about that point. So maybe it's just their figure, but my figure, his arms seem to settle a little bit better. I mean, like I said, I have seen worse. So, but I don't know. I think people were maybe expecting a little bit too much out of this figure. A lot of people I've seen have nitpicked about the height and how he's not in scale and how they thought he was going to be in scale. I guess that's up to personal preference. Sometimes Cable is drawn very big, and sometimes he's drawn maybe not so big. But he is supposed to be 6'7", so he's pretty big. He's like the size of the Rock. So I mean, he's a large guy. Here's a Build-A-Figure, the newest Build-A-Figure Hobgoblin. From Marvel Now. So he's larger than Hobgoblin. Here is Green Goblin. Let me just get this stupid thing off. So he's smaller than Green Goblin. So there you go with that. I'll get a couple other figures for size comparison as well. I'll be right back. Okay, and we're back. And here's my custom Genis Vale action figure. He's based on the Bucky Cat body mold. So I mean, there you go. There's your size comparison. This is the Bucky Cat body mold, and he's, as you can see, he towers over the Bucky Cat body mold. So there's that. And here is the Hyperion / Sentry body mold, and as you can see, he's larger than that. And then why not, for shits and giggles, we'll just do Sergeant Slaughter from the WWE. These guys run a little bit taller because they're from a different line, but I just figured for size comparison reference, why not? So there you go. He's pretty tall, but Cable still towers over him. So I mean, it really comes down to personal preference. If you want to display him, and your old Cable from Toy Biz is not big enough, then you can go that route. But he also comes with a really nicely detailed base with the Strife cape and shoulder pad and helmet on there. So there's that as well, really nicely detailed with the mortar and the brick. But so there's that. I mean, he comes with I believe 6 weapons and a greatly detailed figure. So I would definitely recommend this figure. Like I said, maybe the face isn't the best, but you know, still a nice figure. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thank you for watching as always, and I'll see you guys on the flip side.